today's plan is to get the engine and box out. The engine and box come out as one and they come out from the top. The only other car I've done with that same setup is a Maserati Merak, and that was to rebuild the gearbox, and taking that engine and gearbox out was an absolute nightmare. So I can only assume this is going to be. My plan is though, once the engine and box is out, is obviously do a clutch, timing belt, water pump, just serviceable items. But I'm also toying with the idea of bigger cams and perhaps throttle bodies. But we'll see, obviously we're looking at price, things like that. But once we get the engine and box out, we'll get it on axle stands, get all the wheels off, and have a look at suspension components. If I don't get it all done today, I'm not going to be too upset. But I would like to think I could get it done in one day. But I'm not going to rush it, as I would quite like to put it back together the exact way it came apart. I think the most important thing with jobs like this is bagging your nuts and bolts and labelling where they came from. There's nothing worse than coming to put something back together and thinking, where on earth did all of this stuff come from? I've done it myself numerous times. My usual technique is not marking the wiring before I take it off and wondering why I don't know where anything goes. But today there's no pressure, we're in our own time, so I think we'll just take it slow and enjoy doing the job. I'm going to grab a coffee and then we'll set to it. Ran into some problems. There's an aftermarket alarm installed which took an absolute age to get off. I had to trace every single wire back and disconnect it where it had been very poorly Scotch locked in. So that's just something else to look at while the engine's out. But now I think we can get back onto stripping mechanical components off and hopefully get the engine out by the end of the day. Got the gear selector off, it's over there. Stabiliser arm unfortunately broke, so I need another one of them. But I think I'll probably end up getting some new gear selector cables because they do feel stiff. What you're looking at here is the throttle cable and lever assembly. Take this off next. To take it off, it appears you've got to push this back. Pull this little tab out. Like so. Throttle cable. Come out of the way. Push that back in there for safekeeping. The next step is to remove the throttle cable completely from the engine. So instead of undoing these lock nuts, which is going to take a while, I just undo these Allen key bolts into the rotor cover. Now we'll just move it out the way. Next thing we'll do, we'll disconnect these fuel lines off from the carburetors, and we might as well disconnect the choke cable while we're here. It would be utter madness not to change these fuel lines, as I have seen a lot of cars go in flames because people have neglected to change the fuel lines when they've restored the car. And these are solid and brittle, which is just a fire waiting to happen. Since it's getting replaced, I think the best thing to do is going to be to chop this pipe to save from damaging the carb. To remove this choke mechanism, we'll have to undo this half of the trunnion and this locking nut here. So we'll keep a hold of that nut at the back, we'll undo this. It's one half through. There you go. We'll definitely be fitting a new choke cable. For the time being, we'll just concentrate on getting the engine out. We'll now disconnect the wiring harness from the starter motor. Before you touch your starter motor or alternator or anything electrical really, you want to make sure you've disconnected your battery. And I think it's always best to double check, because even I've been caught out doing that. But like most starter motors, you have your one main nut and there's an earth somewhere that I've already taken off. Again, it's always best to put your nut back on, and I shall mark up these now. While we've got the 30mm on the go, I might as well undo this slave cylinder. Almost every important nut and bolt on this car is actually snapped, so I'm holding out no hope for the rest of the job. The benefit of doing it this way is you're not going to leak brake fluid all over the floor in an already messy environment, and it leaves everything attached, so you know exactly where it goes when the engine's out. It's going to make changing them a lot easier. I think we'll definitely be changing this one. I think we'll start taking off some of these water pipes now. I'm going to take this one out as far down as I can to leave this all this on to remove it, because that goes straight to the thermostat. This needs to come off. This needs to come off. There's a few wires down there we need to pull off, and I think the end is nearly in sight. So it's out. It's in much better condition than it looks. It's not seized. The linkages on the carburetors are seized, so but they'll be getting rebuilt anyway. But the engine itself isn't seized. The gearbox seems in quite good condition. Didn't really take that long to get out, but it was just tricky actually lifting it out. I had a strap around the front and around the gearbox and what's called a load leveler, which is essentially two hooks on a threaded bar so you can angle the way the engine comes out. So that was really helpful. I don't think I could have done it without that. But I suppose the next thing to do engine wise will be get it stripped down, have a look at the bearings, decide what we're doing. Because I mean there's lots of different crank options available and cams and valves and everything, but I need to have a sit down and think about what I want from the engine and what I want it to do and what I want to do with the car before I make any decisions. So that'll be quite a good video, stripping the engine down and actually one for rebuilding it. But there's quite a bit of stuff that concerns us. Aircon for one, that'll be the old system with the old type gas, which obviously we can't get anymore. So we might have to convert that or just take it off altogether. We're going to take the alternator to work and put it on our test bench and see if that's working. And if not, obviously the new one there. I think it's a good job we didn't try to start it the way it was, because that belt isn't in the best condition, and if that snapped, that would have been game over. But I didn't actually get any footage of the engine coming out because it was a bit tricky, and I wanted to focus on not dropping my engine onto the boot of my car, which would have been a quite good video, but not one I wanted to watch myself doing. I suppose next thing we'll do is we'll take a look at the bay it came out of, and we'll have a look what we're going to have to do there. This is the gaping hole left by removing the engine. It's obviously the bay is a mess and it's going to need a good tidy up, but now I've seen the top of the chassis and everywhere I was worried about, I'm happy with it. I mean, the chassis is good. It's dirty, but it's good, but we'll have to clean that up. I think while the engine's out, it would be daft not to change all the water hoses and clutch slave cylinder, the clutch slave cylinder pipe, engine mounts, gearbox mounts. Just anything that's perishable, I think I'm going to change. So, I'd hate to do this with the engine in. I've taken a fuel tank out just to see what it was like, and unfortunately it was rotten, so we're going to need 2 tanks. But I will get the removal of that side tank on video, because that was a complicated little number. But other than that, I am happy with it. I mean, it's dirty, but everything's there. A lot of this stuff would probably go again, but for the price of changing it, I'm just not going to bother. We'll just get it changed. Peace of mind. And while I've been on, I've also jacked the car up so on axle stand, so I can get a better look at the suspension. Obviously the brake disc is knackered, and I think we're going to go for new shocks and springs and new bushes for the arms that come down, new wheel bearings, so new bushes there, new brake pipes, new flexes. You'll have to rebuild the calipers. But other than that, I mean, there's not a great deal to it. You can get your hand on nearly every bolt you want to take off, so that's good. The other side's still in one piece, so you can have a look at that. I mean, I've already taken one of these to work and sandblasted it, and it came up really well. This is all just surface. But we'll see what the price of a new one is anyway, and if it's worth getting, we'll just get it. And if not, we'll just get some bushes. I mean, shocks and springs definitely. I don't know whether to go for built-in adjustable coilovers or just get some standard factory Lotus units. I think I'll have a look around on the forums and see what people suggest. But I've already taken the calipers off, and we're going to make a video soon on getting them rebuilt. But other than that, there's not really much left to say. I mean, that, as you saw before, just fell completely apart, so we'll just get a new one and not bother rebuilding it. Other than that, I think it was good. Obviously, new exhaust required. Might as well get a full stainless steel thing from manifold to back box. I think we're going to have to take the wiring up the alarm immobiliser off altogether, but I don't know whether just to get the auto electrician who specialises in Lotus to come and do it, or just buy a full new harness. I'm undecided for now. It's a shame I didn't get actually lifting out on video, but I was concentrating, so I didn't really have a great time to do the filming, as I do all this by myself. As just me. But yeah, that's I think I'll probably do for this video. But I suppose the next one could either be caliper rebuilding, or maybe the engine stripped down.